particularly fishing ports.
Yeah, because I'm from Cornwall, and what I find strange is that accent around Great Yarmouth and everywhere is almost West Country in its. So there must be some kind of tradition
That's,
that came around by the sea, or I don't know. I don't know how it works. Is there if you is there a Celtic heritage there, or is it
no,
no nothing like
not at all.
that? Okay. Um. Cool. Well, I'm gonna hit live and let's go for it. Oh, I forgot my big screen. How will I live without it? Serenade us, Alice. I've just got one more thing I need to do.
One at a time. So we'll alternate. Forgot I was muted then. You can tell we've had 2 weeks off.
It's easily done.
They're frozen. Are you there, Pete?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Okay. Oh, it's freezing up a bit.
Is it all sorted now? It should be better.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Hi, Pete Shevlin here. How are you doing? It's Friday night, and I'm a little bit higher up than I should be. Yeah, it's CNLZ. We've got a great one for you with two amazing guests. But in the meantime, Richard Latto, how are you?
Hey, yeah, really good, Pete. Yeah, I can't believe we haven't done this now for what, 2, 3 weeks, wasn't it? Had 2 weeks off.
Two
It
weeks
feels like
off.
it's just gone
Yeah,
by in the blink of an eye. It's been crazy. Yeah. I mean, what about you?
and
Do you
you're a
feel like it's
poet,
gone
and you didn't
quickly?
know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just had an amazing time. We went to the south coast, somewhere fairly close to you, and yeah, it was just fantastic. It was like Chelsea. Do you know that area? Chichester.
South Sea, Chichester. Yeah, just down the road. Yeah, nice part of the world. Beautiful weather for it. If you listen very carefully, you hear my neighbours having a massive garden party next door. Maybe I should take the camera out and just put it over the fence, see what they're doing.
Are they
No,
allowed?
probably get
Is that
arrested.
allowed? Is that allowed now? I don't know. What are the rules? Does anybody
don't
know?
think
Does
so.
anybody care?
No. Yeah. I mean, we could try and just see what happens, but yeah, I don't want to get the rap for that. So
So apart from the hashtag at the bottom of the screen around about here, this is a football-free zone. And I know that, Richard, you're not that keen on your football. I don't really care that much. So let's everybody not care about football tonight. What do you think?
yeah, fair weather fan. If England are doing well, eventually, I might chip in my support. But in the early days, I really can't be asked. Just
The
feels
thing
like
is,
a bit of a waste
Have
of
you
time.
got an England shirt?
No, because I don't hang out in a Weatherspoons.
Wow, that's I've got a
That's
friend who
true,
works
though,
in
isn't it?
Weatherspoons.
Well,
Yeah, it's true.
let me clarify. I don't hang out in a Weatherspoons between the hours of 2 p.m. and 4 p.m., which is when it all kicks off.
They start drinking in the Weatherspoons at like 7 o'clock in the morning. It's just a disgrace.
The ones around here, there's a queue before they actually open up. Not good.
Amazing. Tonight on our show, we've got Alice Offley and also Paul Amer. Paul Amer's from the Rogues Shanty Chorus, which is a shanty group. Now, did you know that on the beach in Cornwall, tomorrow I believe it is, Joe Biden and the rest of the guys there at the G7 are all going to be serenaded by a shanty group while they have a barbecue on the beach.
In Cornwall, of all places for them to choose. Why did they go there? Have they gone there because they want to visit Trago Mills as well at the same time? Or
Trago
that's a very
Mills. Love
that's a
Trago
very
Mills.
niche reference. If you're not
It
from the
is.
West Country, you won't get that. It's basically like those range shops, isn't it? It kind of sells a bit of everything, very cheap, very dusty.
Yeah, and probably soon to be out of business because of Amazon and everything. But yeah, there they all are in Cornwall. I mean, as a Devonian, what do you think? Do you think that, they should have just stopped when they got to Devon?
Yeah, I think so long as they remember to put the cream and the jam the right way around on the scones they're having. Can you imagine that? They'd be chased out with pitchforks by the locals in Cornwall if they get the jam and the cream mixed up. I wonder if they'll meet that guy that lives off. Is it the A30 or the A38? What's the long road that goes through Cornwall? Is it the A38?
The A30.
Does that keep going down into
A30.
Cornwall? There was a documentary on a guy, and he was called The Man That Ate Badgers. Do you remember that?
I
He
do.
used to live
Yeah.
off that road, and it was like this is. He was portrayed as like a typical Cornish citizen, and
He just
it
used
was
to
a very
eat roadkill the whole time.
Yeah.
So he used to drive
kept them
behind
in his freezer.
four-wheel drives and tractors and pick it up fresh meat off the road.
The best bit of that documentary is when he said to the interviewer, with no shade of irony, he said, "Tonight, I'm really looking forward to having badgers and mash." What kind of a meal is that? Well, apparently it's quite common in Cornwall. But you'd know about that being a Cornish boy, obviously, Pete.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Badger pasties are my favourite, to be honest. And is there such a thing as a Devon pasty?
No. There's Ginsters, isn't there? But I don't. That's not proper
Ginsters is
Cornish,
not
is
a
it?
pasty.
The quest to find meat in a Ginsters pasty. Anyway, that's for another day. Social media, the videos. You've been having a look. You found a couple. Did you get mine? Did you get my Richard Madeley one?
Richard Madeley.
Did you get it in time?
Yeah. Should we have a look?
Can
at
we
Richard
play that one
Madeley?
first?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So he's been covering for one of the presenters on Good Morning Britain, and whenever he does it, it's like watching a real life Alan Partridge trying to do the programme, and he comes out
Not just
with
one
these
of the
just-
presenters. He's standing in for Piers Morgan.
No, Piers was sacked, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he
that's
hasn't
right.
presented it for months.
But
yeah.
Richard Madeley's basically standing in for Piers, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's doing the man part, yes. So he basically he comes out with these outrageous things, and take a look at this. This is so random.
What price do you put on your pet's care? Is there a point where you say too expensive, the dog has to die.
I'm going to play it again, Rich. Hang on.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's worth playing twice. It's
It's
so
worth playing.
short, isn't it?
Do you put on your pet scale?
Yeah.
Is there a point where you say, too expensive, the dog has to die?
So he says, just in case our viewers didn't catch it, is there a price to put on your pet care? Is there a point where you can't pay it and the dog has to die?
Just random, is it? It's
It's
shocking.
random.
Just trying to provoke a reaction. But he must know, as he's saying stuff like this is going to get picked up by people on Twitter and just retweeted. Maybe he's playing to his kind of cliched strengths. I don't know.
I don't know.
You
think
being
he's
a lot
just
younger than me, you being a lot younger than me, Pete, you've been all over TikTok rather than Twitter, and
Yeah.
you found a couple of videos, one of which I think is the saddest video I've seen in my life, the cleaning one. Which one do you want to play first, the Jack Black one or the cleaning one?
Well, if the cleaning one works, I'd like to play the cleaning one.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it's a slightly different
cleaning
one
is...
that I played you, Rich. But there's something very satisfying from watching like a really neat person put together their collection of different items in the house. Take a look. And she's got some dishwasher tablets, and she's putting them all in another box, which I just used a box of dishwasher tablets. And then
This doesn't do anything for me. This
Doesn't
is
it?
quite...
And she's
No,
got
this isn't like those
all of
videos
her
of people
herbs and
shredding stuff or
spices.
cleaning a swimming pool, but this
No,
is just
this is
someone
good.
cleaning their kitchen to music.
No, this is really organised. Now she's putting sugar in the jar, and most people just keep the sugar in the packet and then put it in the jar. But she's got another box for the sugar. This is incredible stuff. Like, she is so organised. and
It's
she keeps
American, isn't it?
her- No, I think she's English.
Really?
She keeps her peppercorns in a separate container and then puts it in the actual peppercorn grinder. And now the way she organises her milk, man, it's so good.
Tragic.
Look at that. And toilet paper in a basket, 3 in a row. It's absolutely brilliant. Can't get any better than that. She's obviously got OCD, but she's now getting millions of viewers to organise her house. It's fantastic.
Who is watching that?
Me.
It's depressing enough
It's
doing your own
brilliant.
cleaning, but filming it and watching someone else filming it. Right. I was going to say you're on your own, but obviously not. Millions are watching it. And what was the other quick one that you've got? It's a Jack Black video, isn't it?
Yeah, Jack Black is all over TikTok. Check this out. That's it. It just goes on for ages.
He's very good, isn't he? Very good impersonator, very good performer.
Yeah, but that's all he does. Just goes on,
Random.
and on, and on. It's just, but it's mesmerising.
They would have sectioned someone for doing that, wouldn't they? At some point.
What were those videos that you picked up the other week when it was crunching glass and all things in the?
Oh,
in
the shredding ones. Yeah. It was an industrial shredder, and people were getting millions upon millions of hits by just chucking stuff into an industrial shredder.
In the
That was
shredder.
quite clever. That's quite relaxing. It's ASMR, isn't it? Where you
ASMR.
listen to it and watch it. It triggers
ASMR.
this chemical in your brain that's satisfying to just watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the same with the Jack Black video just then. That it was very kind of
Okay.
ASMR. I was getting, that same satisfaction.
Particularly on headphones. Well,
Our guest
Go on.
tonight, Alison Poole. Have you ever watched some ASMR videos? That's my question. Paul, you go first.
Yeah, I have actually. My children love those videos where, in production lines, where things are just satisfyingly produced in massive quantities. Because I'm painting them to be quite boring, but but yeah, I've seen a few. It's not my first rodeo.
Alice, have you seen any ASMR videos?
I don't know. Not intentionally, I haven't.
It's a big thing.
Sometimes I've seen like a goo thing squeezing out something. That's quite satisfying to watch. Maybe it's one of
that kind of thing. Satisfying videos, isn't it? And a particularly satisfying sounds. You put headphones on, you listen to it. People whispering and people clinking things and doing stuff like that next to a microphone. Weird, but it does trigger something in the brain.
Absolutely. Alice Offley, you're a singer-songwriter, and you're sitting there in your very sparkly top, and we're loving that. And tell us just what you've been doing this week. You've been in some star-studded place, right?
Yeah, I've been gigging quite a bit since the venue's opened again. And this week in particular, I've been at the Dorchester. They've now got a rooftop bar. It used to be a suite. I think it was like a penthouse up there. And then obviously in lockdown, they had to think about outside spaces, and they've turned the top floor into a bar, and it's really nice up there. And it's being sponsored by Yamaha. So they've provided all the equipment. So it's a really nice gig because you just turn up. I don't have to take my keyboard, don't have to take a microphone, don't have to take anything. It's all just set up. The sound's ready. They've got the sound tech on site. And the agency have dealt with everything. So it's a nice, easy gig. And it's a really nice place to be. The views are amazing. Hyde Park, you can see everything. Shard, London Eye. It's really nice.
Can you get us tickets? You know, what's the word on the street? How do we
I don't think you have got a book. Yeah.
You got a book?
Because I think the capacity is maybe 60 or something, you know, because obviously everyone's seated. So I think you have to pre-book.
Pre-book, and the drinks are probably a small fortune, but it's worth it for the view, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it's been such amazing weather, right? This last week. So yeah, when I've been playing there in the morning, I'm putting on my factor 50 because I'm playing there in the day and the evening. So if the daytime, the sun's, it's like a sunspot.
Oh, nice. So it's like a whole day thing. Now that sounds like a real treat. That's like watching the cricket or something. You just stay there for the day. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, they have like a day gig and then a night gig. So there's a changeover.
So are you gigging next week? How often does it happen?
It's varied. Next week, I'm playing in a different hotel that I used to play in all the time before lockdown. Really nice one in Victoria. And I play when people are having like afternoon tea or swanky dinners. That's another daytime gig I do. It's really nice.
So work is picking up. This is the point.
Pardon?
This is the good thing, that work is picking up. People are going out, and it's just feeling a lot better. It's a lot more normal, shall we say.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I was just messaging one of my friends today, and he hasn't been able to gig because he plays in a band, but playing the piano is, because I guess it's like it can fit in with the restrictions. I'm quite lucky that I'm still able to play. And since the restaurants have opened up, and the hotels, they've decided they do want a piano player, so it's great for me. I've been able to play again and feel a bit more normal.
Happy days, hey? You know, fingers crossed it keeps going. So what are you going to play for us tonight? What's your first song?
My first song is called Don't Do That.
And we always ask on CNLZ the inspiration for the song. How did you write it? How did it come about?
It was about previous relationship, when someone was doing something just kind of like not really behaving very nicely. And I find that songwriting is often a good way for me to get my thoughts out. And yeah, this is just basically about an old relationship. And Don't Do That was basically my sort of message to him. Anyway, that was over now, but I've got the song.
You got the song. And also as well, like actually saying no, saying don't do it. That is something that you've got to learn, actually. And I think it's something that's really important, because we're also pre-programmed to just go along with stuff, just to say yes, and just to almost, you know, not really think about it, but things just happen. But actually putting your foot down is quite a strong thing to do.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you do have to state your boundaries, you know, not just in relationships, but in work, and or, you know, you need to be comfortable, and everyone deserves to be respected and things like that. Yes, if it's not happening, I think you do have to, you can always communicate with respect and honour the other person, but yeah, it needs to be said if someone's not treating you properly.
Nice. Well, Alice Offley, Don't Do That. Can't wait.
All right. I'm just fixing my levels.
Oh yeah, you've got to get that reverb sorted.
Don't do it. I don't think you know what love is. You only care about yourself. Why do you have to make me so blue? I've been wasting all my good 6 years on you. If you really love me, you wouldn't make me cry. And if you really care, you tell me all the time. Playing with my heart, you've been playing with my mind. And if you really love me, don't do that. You're so smart, but you don't understand. Trust is a must. Why don't you give it that? Talking without walking don't mean jail. Yeah. Then women's intuition's got my back. If you really love me, you wouldn't make me cry. And if you really care, you tell me all the time. Playing with my heart, you've been playing with my mind. And if you really love me, don't do that. Ooh, why do you make me cry? Why do you make me cry? Ooh, why do you make me cry? If you really love me, you wouldn't make me cry. And if you really care, you tell me all the time. Playing with my heart, you've been playing with my mind. And if you really love me, don't do that. And if you really love me, you wouldn't make me cry. And if you really care, you tell me all the time. Playing with my heart, you've been playing with my mind. And if you really love me, don't do that. And if you really love me, don't do that. And if you really love me, don't do that.
What a fantastic, funky, sassy way to kick off CNZL tonight, because we've got a brilliant... Oh, sorry, I got the name of the blooming station wrong. I was so into it then. CNZL, CNLZ. God, I feel like I'm mentally dyslexic tonight. That was great. I want to ask you about concentration, because you were so focused and so on it there. Do you get a feel for how well it's going down with an audience when you're performing that track live?
Often I will look at the audience. You know, it's a bit different tonight because I'm on Zoom. But yeah, if I'm in a room, I will actually look out and see if people are sort of responding. And
we're your audience,
often,
Alice. We're your audience, and we loved it.
You're my audience. Yeah. I didn't really look at you guys. Kind of far away. Yeah, you can maybe sense the energy, and you can sense the shift in the room sometimes. And I think that's a really good thing about being a musician, or a performer, or anyone like producing some art or performing it. You can change the energy of the room just like that with whatever you bring. And yeah, it's really empowering, and it's interesting because I often try out new songs and see sort of, did that work? Is that resonating? Do people connect to that? So I think you can tell when people are into it. Yeah. I mean, often I'm playing in bars where people might be chatting and eating or drinking, and it's when they stop doing that they've that they're really noticing. That's when you realise, okay, they're into this.
And I know you mentioned that you're already back doing some bits and pieces. That sounds absolutely fabulous, but you must have so missed performing live during the lockdowns that we've had. You must have been chomping a bit to get back to it.
Yeah, it was really hard. I did do some Zoom gigs, and also I was part of this agency called Encore, where people would request a song, like, so instead of a birthday card or something, they'd request a YouTube video to be made. So, I mean, it wasn't the same as performing, you know, in the room live, but I kept busy and I did a lot of writing. I found it really good to be creative because I had so much time. So I didn't get too sort of disheartened, but it was really hard for me because my other job is acting. So sort of everything I was doing was performing, and then all of a sudden I wasn't allowed to do any of it. So the music stopped, the acting stopped, and I just, at times, I felt it was quite bleak. I just thought, oh my goodness, these decisions I've made in life, you know, I'm not able to do them anymore.
Well, it was someone said, didn't they? Someone said when you were going into, was it World War II, people were saying, oh, this will be over by Christmas. And of course, actually, it's the not knowing. And when we went into those first couple of lockdowns, people were generally thinking, God, is this ever going to end? Whereas at least now it feels like it is coming to a resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely feels much better now, and especially because I've been able to gig as well. It just feels like it's lovely. It's such a treat to be able to do it again. And I found the second lockdown harder, I think, because the first one, like you say, we didn't know when it was going to end, but I think we sort of thought it'd be a few months. And then when they did it to us again, which I know they had to, I was just really kind of, it was quite depressing, because then it was like, when is this going to end? Is it going to happen again? And I really hope it doesn't, because it's soul destroying. I know it's for the best and it keeps people safe, but emotionally it's really hard.
Well, it's looking a lot more positive now, isn't it? Fingers crossed. Hopefully, better news as each month goes by. Alice, that was fantastic. Pete, what kind of feedback have we been getting on Facebook so far this evening?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I've not been looking.
And you haven't got it ready.
I haven't got it ready. Daniel Steele says, lovely song, Alice. Great voice, and your playing is fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Vicky says, hi, Vicky, how are you? Oh, that's me saying that. I think this song will resonate with lots of people. Yeah, I think so too, Vicky. Thanks so much for that. And Tony says, a bit of Annie DeFranco, which is a compliment, I promise. Liking this. Yeah. Do you know Annie DeFranco? Alice?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
And Ray B has just got clapping hands. The energy is always amazing at one of Alice's gigs. Yeah, I'm sure. Actually, Alice, while you were talking there, and you were mentioning changing the kind of venue and the setting and how a musician can change, you know, the way everybody's behaving even. There was I've been editing this documentary about rock and roll, and at the beginning of it there's this bit about Lou Rawls. He's like an old blues musician, and he was one of the first to start talking in his music. And so this is kind of where hip hop started, with Lou Rawls, and he called it a monologue. So maybe you could try a bit of Lou Rawls kind of just talking, you know, or maybe changing your music if you want to captivate people, because he noticed that if he sang, people just ignored him, but when he started talking, people started listening. I don't know, maybe try rapping. What do you think? You could do like an Ed Sheeran little rap in between.
I guess it's because it's like people can understand straight away, whereas when you're singing, people have to tune in to listen to what you're singing. When you talk, it's instant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's exactly what it is. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, that was how it all started. Anyway, Paul, what are we doing? What are we singing?
Me personally, I'm going to sing you a sea shanty that's is particular to my hometown of Lowestoft. Now, Lowestoft is the most easterly town in the whole of the UK, right on the pimple of the bum end of Great Britain. And
the pimple of the bum. Wow.
Yeah.
Sell it to us. It's a seaside town. It's beautiful, isn't it?
It has its days, yeah. In weather like this, the sand is quite golden and the sea is almost blue. But it's been renowned in the past as being a fishing port, and those days have gone. So it's had its time of decline, but now I think it's well on the up.
So this is like a traditional sea shanty that you're going to sing?
Yeah, this is a very old song that would have been sung by crews just off the coast in the North Sea.
And what's it called? What's the name of it?
It has many titles, but I'm going to go with the title of The Worst Old Ship.
It sounds amazing, and I think we usually ask, "What's it about?" And but I think the worst old ship kind of speaks for itself. What kind of stories come out in this song?
First of all, I just want to say I don't really want to sing this because Alice did such a lovely song. I'm not sure
Ah,
about sitting on the top of the Dorchester, but you took me right into a smoky Parisian cafe or something. It really was lovely. So I sing this with some hesitation, but the song itself is about basically. If you think about the fishing industry back in the day when the primary power on board was either the wind or men's muscles to get the work done. So it's quite miserable work, either in the rain or in the sun. You're very exposed to the elements. And so the men would find humour where they could, and usually it would be insulting the captain, insulting the captain's wife, insulting the captain's daughter,
It
insulting
sounds
the
like a
captain's
normal day at
cat.
work.
Yeah, a little bit. The other thing they would do is insult the boat that they were sailing on itself. So the worst old ship is basically like you said, exactly says on the tin.
Love it. Wow, Paul Amer, take it away. I can't wait to hear it.
The worst old ship that ever did sail sailed out of Harwich on a windy day, and we're waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day that we get our pay. Well, she was built in Roman time, held together with bits of twine, and we're waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day that we get our pay. There ain't nothing in the galley, nothing in the hold, but the skipper's turned in with a bag of gold. We're waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day that we get our pay. Off Orford Nest, she sprang a leak. You can hear her poor old timbers creak. Now we're waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day that we get our pay. So we pumped our way around Lowestoft Nest when the wind backed round to the west southwest. We're waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay. Sailing into the Humber and up the town, pump you blighters, pump or drown, and we're waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day that we get our pay. We're waiting for the day, waiting for the day, waiting for the day we get our pay.
amazing. That was great, Paul. Brilliant. I feel like I should have some kind of rum or something here to drink as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's what I need, a proper rum and coke, a double. A little bit, when you started, though, it reminded me of another song. I was trying to think what on earth it was. Is there a particular melody or something that's been compared to when you performed that before?
I haven't come across it, but I would say this, of course, but sea shanties they're so entrenched in an unconscious way in our industry. If you think, I mean, not particular to my neck of the woods, but places like Liverpool, other port towns or cities where culture was just flooding in. And if you think about how it came in on the ships. So the Beatles were one of their earliest recordings is My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, which in effect is a sea song, and it came into them to the port via the maritime industry. And Lonnie Donegan sang loads and loads of sea shanties, and he was the godfather of skiffle, and another big influence on the Beatles. But just in that way, it really kind of sort of resonated outwards in our culture, and probably we would never have known it. So kids on TikTok nowadays think of sea shanties as perhaps being this American thing, but they're much more global than that.
Yeah, they think sea shanties came out of Pirates of the Caribbean or something. Little did they know. Loads of interviews I remember with John Lennon where you mentioned Lonnie Donegan. So, yeah, they were proudly quite big him up all the time. Great artist. I'm down here in Southampton, and quite often you do go to some of the bars, and there are people doing sea shanties in there. I mean, obviously, when we were out of lockdown. And same in Portsmouth. I think it's even more entrenched in there. Yeah, you go to these coastal cities, particularly, as you say, the ports, and it's very popular. I grew up in Plymouth. I can remember there was a big following for it down there as well. Yeah, and it's interesting you say it taps into something that is beneath the consciousness that it makes it sound so familiar. It's like within a line. I was already thinking, yeah, I know how this is going to go. I don't know exactly what you're going to sing, but I know how it's going to pan out. I know the feel that you've gone for. I know the rhythm. And immediately you're like, yeah, you're kind of into it, aren't you? That's not the same for every piece of music.
No, I know exactly what you mean. And it is those three chord wonders. I mean, I wouldn't want to go too far, but it wouldn't be difficult to see where rock and roll in this country kind of took its roots from. I mean, even if you look across the pond at songs like, or the Beach Boys, for instance, you could argue that in a way they were a bit of a shanty band that turned into something a bit more rock and roll. But their song, The Wreck of the John B, or the John B Sails, which was a big hit for them, they took that from a shanty group called the Kingston Trio, and that song is as old as the hills, a sea song from the Bahamas about a Welshman that used to sail his boat and get drunk at the same time, and it had quite an obvious end to that tale.
Stereotyping even from those early days. Paul, that was great. Thank you. Pete, do you want me to have a look at Facebook, or have you got it there this time?
Cheeky Mikey. We got Marion tuning in from Canada and singing along with the worst old ship. Loving that. Michael says Alice's voice is great. That was a different one. Vicky says this shanty paints such a colourful picture, and Lowestoft is lovely. Yeah, exactly. I think that whole coastline is lovely. I was at Caister-on-Sea recently, and it's beautiful. It's a lovely part of the world. Daniel says very powerful voice. Paul, great song. And Sandra says, well done, Paul. Sandra, Rogue's chorus. Lowestoft has a beautiful beach. And Jill says, amazing voice. Hi, Jill. You all right? So, yeah, lots of love all round, Paul. And I wanted to know, how does such a young chap like you get involved with such an old tradition as sea shanty?
Well, to be honest, the group, the Shanty Chorus, is a bit of a project, like a community choir, and it brings together minded people from the area that perhaps have got a history of fishing in their family, or perhaps they've heard a few things about shanties and never really explored it. So it just brings those people together to celebrate that cultural heritage, because in Britain we are a little bit ignorant sometimes of knowing.
What?
Yeah, I'm going to go there. And the things that we do know, we tend to mock. You know, things like Morris dancing is a really rich cultural heritage of our wonderful country. But we kind of sneer at it a little bit.
So when will Morris dancing come back in fashion? Like, seriously, when will bells around the ankles and sticks? I used to do it. Yeah. Don't mock it. I used to do it. But when will we see it in village greens across the country again?
Soon, I hope, but it won't be me doing it.
What was that, Alice? Did you say something?
So why don't you bring it back?
Me personally. Do you think I can do that? Do you think I've got the power to do that?
Do it. Start a revolution.
I think we need to see an expert, Peter.
Me and my brothers, growing up in Cornwall, there used to be this tradition of Cornish dancing, and Morris dancing was one of them, and we all had to do it. We were forced to do it. Our school made us. None of us wanted to do it. But now looking back, that's where I got my rhythm from.
Is it fun?
Is it fun? You know what? I kind of did enjoy it, I have to say. I think my younger brother hated it. My older brother loved it. I was somewhere in the middle. and there was like lots of weird things, like there was the sword dance as well, and you had to hold it up with a big star. So everybody had a sword, and you'd come together with the sword and hold it up. I know, I don't see it anymore. I'm not sure where these dances happen, if they happen, but you're right, Paul. Like, this is our tradition. This is our island tradition. These dances, these songs, and they do get pushed to one side for other cultures that come in, and then we celebrate those cultures. We don't have a tradition anymore of celebrating our own culture. And yeah, you're right in saying that. But in a way, it is a bit strange. There are some strange things to it.
Yeah.
But maybe the day will come back, waving hankies, sticks, and bashing them. There was a rhythm to it which I really liked. I think it was that I enjoyed. Because with those sticks, when you're Morris dancing and the bells on your ankles, there's something about it that is quite primeval, or it's like a primal kind of sense.
There's a catharsis to it.
Yeah, and the rhythm of you moving is making the music, just as tap dancing might make the music. So it's got that about it, and yeah, it is quite cool. Anyway,
sorry, Pete, I lost you there. Are you talking about growing up in Cornwall and doing Morris dancing, or the end of the film The Wicker Man? I got a bit confused when you talked about primal instincts there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all Wicker Man stuff, isn't it, basically? Alice, what are you going to play for us?
All right, just this song is called Where Have You Been All My Life? And I actually wrote this in lockdown. When I had lots of time to actually focus on writing again, I really did appreciate having that time. Because when I gig a lot, it's hard to sort of get your head around writing or juggling both. I do try and do both, but it was such a great time to write songs when there was nothing else to do.
Alice, it sounds like you had quite a good. It sounds like you had quite a good lockdown if you wrote the song "Where Have You Been All My Life."
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did have a good lockdown. It was good. I'm grateful for the lockdown I had. I know, because some people had some awful lockdowns, and yeah, I got through it very well, actually. Quite enjoyed it, to be honest. Staying in, cooking, banana bread.
Would I be right in saying that you fell in love during lockdown, or am I just making that up?
Pre-lockdown, but lockdown was a chance for me to sort of gather my thoughts and make a song about it.
Nice. You're not going to tell us any more about that, are
you? Well, it's. I think sometimes I feel when I'm singing it, I could be singing it about my dog. It's kind of, it translates. It's just about being like grateful for somebody.
Yeah, I was doing these programs about wellness, and because of obviously lockdown, and I was editing all these programs, and it had quite a profound effect. And being grateful, and you don't have to be grateful to anyone in particular, but just to be grateful for yourself, for the planet that we're on, just to have some gratitude in the morning kind of sets you up really well for the rest of the day. I don't know if you practice that. It sounds like you do practice that kind of well-being.
I do practice. Yeah, I've read a lot about things like that, and I don't remember to do it all the time, but I have done things like that. I remember I did an Instagram challenge called 100 Happy Days, and you just had to find something to post that you were happy about. And I mean, there's so many things every day that you could post about, but sometimes it might just be my coffee that tasted good, or it could be the sunshine. Like, there are, obviously, there's good and bad happening all the time, but I think it's about focusing on the good things, because then your perspective is tuned into that, because there is a lot of great things and great experiences to be had in any situation, or in most situations.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think being grateful for those very little things, like a really nice cup of coffee, like, it's something to be enjoyed. It's something that you wouldn't otherwise have, and this is, it's come a long way to get to your coffee cup. You should be pretty happy about that cup of coffee.
Exactly, yeah. Something might go wrong, or you might be upset or something, and that could possibly consume you because it's difficult, but if you look at the bigger picture, there will always be things to be grateful for. You know, like the fact that your heart's beating and your body's working, even that, you know, on a very basic level is just a miracle in itself, you know.
Absolutely right. It's a miracle we're here and we're doing this and we're having this conversation. So I can't wait to hear the song. Where have you been all my life?
Okay, and I'm going to dedicate it to my best friend. I know she's watching, Pat. Just fix my pedal.
Hi, Pat. Nice that you're there.
Pat.
Where have you been, Pat? Like, where have you been all my life? Come on. Come over here.
What? For making my dreams come true. 'Cause I never thought that I'd ever find someone like you. You take away my blue. You're like sunshine, and I've just been wasting my time on anyone that isn't you. You know the words to my rhyme. You're the song to my tune. Where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for you. Where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for you. I wanna thank my lucky stars for lighting the way and leading me home to you. You're always on time, you do me just right, you make me feel good. I know I'm understood, you understand me, and I've just been wasting my time on anyone that isn't you. You know the words to my rhyme. You're the song to my tune. Where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for you. Where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for you. I wish that I met you before. With every day I know I love you more. Where have you been all my life? Where have you been all my life? Where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for you.
Beautiful. What a gorgeous, gorgeous song. Thank you, Alice. That was really special. Now, you did say before you performed it, it could have also been dedicated to your dog. And you did have your doggy on your lap a moment ago. Where are they? Bring him in. We want to see him again. Yeah.
Well, he wanted to be in. I didn't want to say anything, but he was asking to come up.
Oh, come on, please. Yeah.
You need to know what his name is.
Maybe we should try and guess what his name is.
Okay.
Bring him in. Let's try and guess what his name is.
I'll give you a clue.
Goodness.
Oh, wow.
Bye.
I think it's got to be... no, it's got to be like...
Tiger.
Dougie or Tiggy or...
Hang on, piano.
Mr. Tinkles.
Ivory.
No.
Mr. Keys.
No.
You got to tell us.
Middlesea.
Mozart.
Really? Oh, wow. What a lovely name.
But doesn't he look like a Mozart as well?
Yeah, he does now. You mentioned it. Wow. And how old is he?
9.
Wow.
Yeah, he's my son.
Oh,
I
beautiful.
know. I think he did help me in lockdown a lot. Like, I'm literally lost without him. We chat, well, I chat, he listens. But he knows what I'm saying. He's great company.
Yeah.
And obviously, he wanted to say hello to everybody and everyone watching on Facebook.
Hello, Mozart.
Hello.
He's got a bit of a Facebook audience, so hopefully,
yeah. Oh, the views have gone up. They've doubled. Oh, look.
I think he wants to have a rest.
Yeah, go on then.
You need to hear something from Paul.
That was a great song. Paul, how on earth are you going to follow that? What Shanty have you got lined up for us?
Well, once again, I can't follow it. That was such a beautiful song, Alice. Really tender. You have such a lovely vibrato, even in your softer notes. Thank you so much for that. It really was lovely.
Thank you very much. I thought you had a great vibrato.
Well, thank you. But I often think that the best songs, the most well-written songs that people can really relate to, have to be clearly important to the writer or the performer, whilst being open enough that people can project their own situation onto it. And I hope you don't mind me saying, I felt like the song that you just played did exactly that. It clearly meant a lot to you, but without being obstructive to anyone in the audience putting their own sort of projection onto it. It's a lovely song. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to sing a song that's not so lovely, because this would have been sung by burly fishermen with the salt in their faces. This song actually isn't particular to my area of the UK. We actually came across, we do a fair bit of research to find songs that are a little bit more diverse. We really love the songs from home, but we also like to branch out a little bit as well, keeping within the maritime feel. And this song we found in a book called Slave Songs of the Georgia Sea Islands by Lydia Parrish, which is a really, really old book, not in print anymore. And it's called Around the Bay of Mexico. And so it's got a calypso feel to it, not at all Latin, but it comes more from the Caribbean side of the world, and it still would have been sung by fishermen and sailors. It may have come into contact with people from the UK, but at that time it would have been more on kind of like the cotton and the sugar routes across the seas.
Tell us the name of that book again, Paul. Slave Songs.
It's called Slave Songs of the Georgia Sea Islands. And
how did you come across that the book?
It's a good question. I think because it was a project that we were looking into, so it wasn't really primarily focusing on education or well-being, as you mentioned, or cultural heritage, or just group singing, but it was combining all of those things and making it into one cohesive project that people could take strands from, as well as another important aspect of it was social isolation, because I'm sure you feel the same way down in the southwest, but in the southeast there's a lot of areas whereby there might be 1 or 2 buses a day, and we've got an older population as well. And so people that aren't able to get out and about that much, and I'm talking about pre-COVID, it was important to put something into the local area whereby, you know, things like lift shares could happen, because people were making new friends and learning about something and appreciating and celebrating the culture of their hometown.
Yeah.
So we did basically. I forgot to answer your question.
Yeah.
Basically, we did a lot of research.
Find out about the book. I mean, because it sounds like it's almost like the birth of the blues. Like it sounds like if those slave songs were the birth of rock and roll, essentially.
Yeah, and to be honest, in some of these books, which basically we just did a lot of research. We spent a long time before the project launched, trying to find different input and different material. And we, if you pardon the pun, we spread the net quite wide to do that, and there were some fantastic gems. But in these books, you do find a lot of a lot of material that's clearly influenced some of those really early blues pioneers, as well as, I mean, things like, basically a sea shanty is a work song, so it doesn't have a great difference to perhaps something that would be sung in a chain gang or something like that. The emphasis is on the beat to keep a rhythm. So these fishermen, they weren't choir boys. They weren't pretending to be choir boys or a cappella singers. What they were doing was just using a song to give them all a locked-in rhythm and synchronize their work to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, sounds amazing. What's the name of the song you're going to sing?
It's called Around the Bay of Mexico.
All right, wow. Paul Lamer, take it away.
Round the Bay of Mexico, way up Louisiana, Mexico is the place that I belong in. Round the Bay of Mexico, all around the Bay of Mexico, way up Louisiana, Mexico is the place that I belong in. Round the Bay of Mexico, when I was young and in my prime, way up Louisiana, pretty girls came around in line. Round the Bay of Mexico, all around the Bay of Mexico, way up Louisiana, Mexico is the place that I belong in. Round the Bay of Mexico, them Nassau girls don't wear no comb. Way up Louisiana, comb their hair with a kipper backbone. Well, round the Bay of Mexico, all around the Bay of Mexico, way up Louisiana, Mexico is the place that I belong in. Round the Bay of Mexico, but now I'm old and going way, way up Louisiana, pretty girls look the other way. Round the Bay of Mexico, all around the Bay of Mexico, way up Louisiana, Mexico is the place that I belong in. Round the Bay of Mexico, yeah, Mexico, that's the place that I belong in. Round the Bay of Mexico. Whoa!
Fantastic. Very summary and very cheeky as well at times. That I like that, Paul. The lyrics. Have you got the lyrics there in front of you, or do you remember absolutely everything from all of the tracks that you're singing?
To be honest, I have a terrible memory, so I have got the lyrics in front of me, because I'm a bit of a cheat, and the material is, a lot of it sort of cross-pollinates, so sometimes you get the same line or even the same very similar melody in one song to another. There's not always a big differential, so it's not necessarily how well you know it, it's how well you can tune out the other songs. But they are very repetitive, as you can hear. So I should be able to do it without the prompts, but I chose not to tonight, just for safety.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And when you're performing live, I'm guessing there's a pressure on you. People on audience, all eyes on you. What's it like then? Do you feel that pressure? Does that give you the adrenaline? Does that give you more excitement when you're performing?
Yeah, it does. I love it. I sing lots of different genres, just because it's my job, and there's not always enough of a market for sea shanties to make it my own income. But when I'm singing as part of the Rogue Shanty Chorus or any other shanty group, you always get the audience sing back, and that's the joy of having songs that are repetitive, and they were meant to be repetitive so that the sailors didn't have to learn them. They just can hear it and come in whenever, and because of that, the audience invariably, and usually with a beer in hand, join in, and you, of course, as Alice was saying, you feed off the energy in the room, and that's I'm really fortunate to have this job. I love it.
I don't know about you, Pete. I really fancy a drink now.
I've already had a couple. That's
Is
me
it
done.
So does
I've had
Alice
it,
as
yeah.
well. Alice looks like she fancies a drink as well.
Your mates always get you to do it at parties. Oh,
Do your mates get you to do it at parties? Alice asked. Or...
that's
I think, yeah. I don't know about you, Alice, but being a singer is a bit like being a doctor.
Is it?
In that when you go to a party and invariably someone says, so what do you do for a living? And you almost think, yeah, I'm going to say I'm a podiatrist or something. Because the first thing you get is people will cross their arms and they say, go on then, sing us a song. And if you do, you're a show off, and if you don't, you're a spoil sport. So you can't really win that. But yeah, to be honest, most of my friends are all musicians because all my other friends got sick of me not being able to come out on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and you know they're good people, but you kind of lose touch along the way. So yeah.
What I want to know is when you've read this book, Slave Songs from Georgia Sea Islands, when you've read it, like. Is the music in there as well, or do you make up the tune? Is it the words, or is it the music, or is it both?
For some of them, yeah, different books have just lyrics or music notation as well. But there's also a wealth of videos on YouTube from people like Stan Hugel, A.L. Lloyd, Bob Roberts. Ewan McCall, of course, from the 60s, guys that were instrumental in the folk scene and especially in sea shanties. I'm lucky enough that they've stood the test of time and they're still out there on YouTube. These really old, crackly recordings, quite often recorded in a pub live, and you can hear the clink of tankards and perhaps the odd dart hitting the dartboard. And you can soak up the atmosphere, and there's always variations, which tends to happen with a lot of folk music in general. You get these slight variations in melody or in lyrics. So sometimes you have to listen to sort of 3 or 4 and collate the bits that you think work best.
It's almost like being a music historian, isn't it? It's like you're kind of going backwards in time to find maybe the more original sound or where it came from.
Well, I am a self-confessed geek. In fact, when you said about Lou Rawls, the first thing that sprung to mind is when Sinatra said Lou Rawls had the best chops in the business. He really rated him. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, if anybody doesn't know about Lou Rawls, like that was the birth of hip hop. I had no idea 6 months ago. But we all learn something. Vicky says, Paul, kudos to you for singing with no backing track. Yeah, absolutely. Real confidence, but I suspect you are quite modest about it. Daniel says, great song, Paul. Marion says, round the Bay of Mexico, that's where I'd like to be right now. Enjoyed that, Paul.
Me too,
and
Marion.
lots of, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to jump into the sea. That would be amazing, around the Caribbean. Linda says, well done, Paul, and lots of clapping. And Ray says, if only around the Bay of Mexico. And Jilly, hello, Jilly. Paul, you are a legend. Love your voice and brilliant song. So, yeah, loads of kudos, loads of great reaction on Facebook. But please tell us, both of you, Paul first, where can we find out more about you?
Well, invariably, Facebook is the musician's friend lately, but also you could find us on our webpage, which is really simple, shanties.co.uk, and there's a page on there specifically for the Rogue Shanty Chorus. But do have a look at the website. We'd love anybody to get in touch, and you can find us under the Rogue Shanty Chorus on Facebook. Cool.
And Alice, how about you? What's the best way?
On social media, I'm Alice O Music, because my name's Alice Offley, but because I do acting as well, sometimes people just want to find my music. So it's Alice O Music, if it's Instagram or Facebook, or aliceoffleymusic.com is my website. On Spotify, I think I'm Alice Offley. But if you just put Alice Offley in Google, you will find me.
Cool. Rich, it's been a great week, hey? How
it's
unusual.
been fantastic. Yeah, the outpouring of positivity on Facebook in particular. There was a load of comments as well that we never even got to for Alice's second song. Got Matt, Jill, Linda, Vix, Ray, Dan, Rex, loads of guys absolutely loving the tunes that we've been having tonight. A pleasure, privilege to have music like this on a Friday night.
I tell you what, it's been like the sea shanty kind of married up to Alice's singer-songwriting and unique individuality. It's been quite an interesting mismatch in a way, but it's kind of worked together. I like it. And it brings me to think about those times in the Cornish pubs growing up and listening to like male voice choirs. And did you have that in Devon? I don't know if Devon has like a male voice choir.
No, you wouldn't hang around in a pub in Plymouth in particular. It wouldn't be that kind of singing. It'd just be a jukebox. Cornwall, a bit softer. That's when you would get male voice choirs.
Absolutely. Well, this is CNLZ. It's what we do every Friday night, 8 p.m. We are still not experiencing live music, and we will continue until we do experience live music, until we are able to get to gigs. So we might well move to Sundays at some point in the future. What do you think, Rich? Is that a goer?
Yeah, I think that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, particularly if live music's still not happening, we've got to keep going.
Yeah, and Sunday might actually be better if gigs start opening up a little bit, and Sunday might maybe we'll be able to, if we're out of lockdown, just kind of shift over to Sundays, and then maybe have a little quiet afternoon spot on a Sunday, but just after people have had their Sunday lunch, or that kind of spot. What do you think? 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Or are you thinking a bit later?
I'm thinking, late afternoon, early evening, I think would be good. That kind of dead zone on a Sunday, that airlock.
The dead zone.
Before you, the airlock.
We're gonna fill the
get
dead
back
zone
into the weekday thing. Yeah.
What used to be on the dead zone? Was it Bergerac or
Howard's Way?
Howard's Way.
That's what they used, because that's his nickname. It used to be called the airlock to the weekday, wasn't it? Howard's Way. Yeah.
Where was that based? Was that based in Southampton? Was that like a...
Yeah, it was just down the road from here, actually. That's the only reason I know it. That's why we did something on it a few years ago. Yeah, that's the sailing community, wasn't it? Yeah, not something that a lot of people would relate to, but it seemed to be very popular.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, Paul and Alice. It's been an absolute brilliant night, and honestly, like, you've both been tremendous. And Rogue's Shanty chorus, I can't wait to see you sometime soon in London in a big gig. And Alice Offley, I'm coming to the Dorchester. Try and stop me.
Okay, darling. See you there. And yeah, I
Thanks
thought
so
I'll
much.
come and see you too. Enjoyed what you did. I'd love to see you.
Absolutely. If that happens, then you never know. Anyway, thanks to everybody for viewing. Vicky, Jill, and Ray, you're a newbie. Linda and Marion, thanks again, and thanks for all the comments on Facebook. And we'll see you next week. Oh, England are playing next week, but we don't care. We're still going to be here. Okay. All right. See you then. Thanks, both of you.
That was great.